Health and Wellness Coordinator for the a ADCES certified lifestyle coach at the San Antonio Lighthouse. And a little bit of background about her. She is in the job of providing seniors with vision loss the skills, tools, and resources needed for maintaining independence in their homes and in their community. And also as part of that health and wellness program, that program does empower individuals with vision loss to reach their physical and mental health goals in an accessible way through consumer education, integrated care approaches, and the coordination of treatment. They help adults and seniors manage and prevent chronic health conditions. And a little bit about our speaker, Shirlee has 24 years of experience in applied behavior modification and public speaking. Maybe we can think about applied behavior modification to kids. 4 years of experience teaching independent living skills to the blind and visually impaired, and 1 year as an ADCES certified lifestyle coach. And in her position with the San Antonio Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired, she's able to share her passion for health and wellness. The leading cause of blindness in the U.S. adults arises from complications of diabetes. And her position at the Lighthouse as an ADCES certified lifestyle coach is for diabetes education prevention, as well as coordinator of the health and wellness program, allows her to educate about the prevention of, risk for, and management of diabetes. So a lot of, again, coming back to health and having good health. She also coordinates annual conferences. The San Antonio Lighthouse is fortunate to be able to provide a forum to share resources with the visually impaired and their caregivers in order to better support them and assist in providing the best care for their loved ones. Shirlee is thankful for the opportunity to assist individuals with blindness or low vision and their caregivers in learning to live their best, most independent lives. And so please give a warm Low Vision Club welcome to Shirlee Crandall. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here today. Lots and lots of stuff to get to, so we will just dive right in. As you said, ADCES is the Association of Diabetes Care and Education Specialists, and that is where I get my lifestyle coach certification for general health and wellness as it relates to preventing or delaying or managing type 2 diabetes specifically. However, it is also just good general health and wellness for any individual. What we have done is we've taken their curriculum, and I'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum that they created with the CDC in a moment, but we've taken their curriculum that was a year long, because that's a lot, right? It's a lot to commit to attend a year-long class. Not everybody is able to do that. So we do condense it down to a 6-week version. And what we've done for today is condensed it down to an hour and just hitting the highlights. So that's one reason why I shared the handout. It is a large print handout. So if you guys do want a copy of that to use with either a screen reader or magnification that you have, that is something that we can definitely email out to you. So what we do specifically with their content, we not only make it available in English and Spanish, but also we make it available in large print. And we have used a lot of our techniques with using things like tactile. When we're in person, we will use tactile demonstrations instead of instead of visual. We will also use much greater detail of verbal description, whereas the coursework was just presented with a lot of pictures and handouts and PowerPoints. We have changed that formatting a little bit to make it a little bit more friendly for the visually impaired by using those different means. So we also work with diabetes educators, and the difference between a diabetes educator and a lifestyle coach is that a diabetes educator is either a registered nurse or a registered dietitian with extended training in diabetes education. So they know all about the medications and the management and reducing risk and problem solving, all of that that goes along with managing type 2 diabetes, if that's where you are. But with regard to preventing or delaying type 2 diabetes, that's where the lifestyle coaches provide information on healthy eating, being active, and healthy coping. And those are the topics that we will focus on today. And again, this content was created by ADCES in conjunction with the CDC. So they came up with this content in the curriculum, and I will read over every single topic, but it is on the back of the handout. And so they came up with this curriculum, they put it over this year-long course, and then they studied people that took this year-long course, and they monitored those outcomes, and they found that people who were successful in either preventing or delaying or managing well their type 2 diabetes did 3 main things. And the 3 main things that they did basically were healthy eating, being active, and healthy coping. So specifically, eating well such that we are either staying at or maintaining our desired healthy weight, or losing 5 to 7% of the body weight, because having excess weight contributes to a lot of different things, but it particularly contributes negatively to type 2 diabetes. Being active specifically, they have determined that at least 150 minutes per week of moderate activity, which breaks down to 20 minutes per day, those that committed to that consistently 4 to 5 days a week, or again, that 20 minutes a day, depending on what works best for your schedule. And then the third thing that made people successful was kind of like the secret sauce, and that's the healthy coping. Because you can eat, you can be told what to eat, you can be told what and how to exercise, and we can brainstorm lots of different ways to do that. But if you don't have that healthy coping and you don't know how to make and maintain good healthy habits, that's where people have the disconnect of wanting to be healthier, but not actually being able to make it happen on a long-term basis. And I don't use the word diet for several reasons. What do you think of when I say diet? Anyone?
Starving.
Yeah, right. What else?
Restricted eating.
Restricted. Yeah. What else?
Right?
Are you doing it for a long time?
Probably not.
Yeah, right. It tends to be short term. People think in those terms. So those are all kind of extreme ways of thinking, right? Someone put sadness. Exactly. So basically it does not conjure up fun, positive things, right? We think about being restricted, being hungry, all of these things that we don't want to be. And so that's why I don't use the word diet, because that is not what we're doing. We're not restricting. We're going to limit some things, but we want to go by the 80-20 rule for most everything. 80% of the time, we want to focus on making the good choices, being healthy, making sure that we take care of all of those pieces to the puzzle, managing stress, getting enough sleep, eating well, getting active, all of those things. We want to make sure that we have those good, healthy habits in place 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, no guilt, right? No, oh, I made a bad choice, because we don't want to think in those terms of good and bad. Life happens sometimes, even if it's just, well, I was going out to run errands today and I thought they'd be quicker, so I didn't pack a lunch or a snack and I ended up going through a drive-through. Okay, that's fine, as long as you're not doing that 4 and 5 days a week, right? If that's just in your 20%, then that's okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. As long as we can keep focused and on track most of the time, then we are doing well. And another thing, you said starvation. So that is a great example of the all or nothing thinking that gets in our way. These are basically untruths that we tell ourselves that basically we're using as an excuse. So your line of thinking might go something like, I don't want to diet because I'm going to be starving, so I'm just not going to do anything about my nutrition, right? But that doesn't help you. That's not serving you in a good way. So instead of that all or nothing thinking, we need to start practicing kind of questioning those things we tell ourselves and saying, all right, is there not a happy medium? Is there not a better way? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how we can make this be realistic so that we can do it for a lifetime. Because I'm not going to tell you that you need to try to get by on lettuce and a cracker a day, right? That's just silly. It's not maintainable, it's not healthy, and it's not realistic. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about portion sizes, and we're going to talk about some healthy swaps. But let me give you an example before you think, oh, well, here it is. You're going to tell me that I have to have styrofoam rice cakes for a snack, which is not the case. I do like rice cakes, by the way. But one way to kind of find that happy medium, for example, if you're going to make lasagna, that 20% of the time, have it the original recipe, have it the way grandma made it, right? The thing that you enjoy and remember from your childhood. That's a great thing to do on a holiday, your birthday, something like that, that 20%. But you can modify that recipe. Instead of using ground beef, try ground turkey. Or if you don't like ground turkey, at least try the leaner ground beef. And then instead of using, if it calls for a full pound, use a half a pound and make up the other half in nice, healthy vegetables. Now, for those who are visually impaired, chopping might be a difficulty, but you can purchase a chopper for very low cost. That's also something that we can provide free of charge if you are one of our consumers and do a lot in the kitchen. Or you can buy pre-cut things. So you could use that other half pound of ingredient with cut up vegetables of your choice. So zucchini or tomatoes or mushrooms or a mix of those things. And then you can have a healthier version of that lasagna most of the time. And then just watching those portion sizes, you've gone pretty much all the way to where you need to be without that extreme, oh, well, I just can't have lasagna anymore because it's got cheese and pasta, right? So there are definitely ways to find that happy medium. It's just a matter of being dedicated to doing it. So when we talk about managing diabetes, we talk about 7 self-care behaviors. And 3 of them are just good overall health and wellness. So the 7 behaviors are taking medication, monitoring, reducing risk, problem solving, being active, healthy eating, and healthy coping. So that's called the ADCES 7. So those are the 7 areas you need to focus on if you are diabetic. If you're just concerned with overall health and wellness, being active, healthy eating, and healthy coping, what we're going to talk about today, are what you need to focus on. So unfortunately, diabetes is the #1 cause of blindness in US adults. And the reason why I bring this up is because type 2 diabetes can often be prevented or delayed. And if that is where you are, maybe you're even pre-diabetic, but you're not yet diabetic. The longer that you can put off, even if you do end up becoming diabetic, but the years and decades that you can put that off is years and decades that you are not experiencing potentially those complications of diabetes, because the complications of diabetes mostly are made worse by consistently poor management. So if you are diabetic and you're not testing your blood sugar, you're not monitoring your medication appropriately, you're not monitoring what you are eating, and your blood sugars are consistently high. So in other words, if your A1C is 8 or above most of the time, it's that cumulative damage that causes the things like the stroke, the heart attack, the diabetic retinopathy, the kidney disease, all of those things. So we can put those off, delay them, or mitigate them, not have them be as severe just by good management. And that is something that so many people don't know and aren't aware of. They think, well, my family's had diabetes and this person is on dialysis and this person had an amputation and this person had a heart attack. You get diabetes and it's really bad and you die. Again, these are untruths that we tell ourselves, and it's that all or nothing thinking that gets in our way of doing something about it. So good management of diabetes can help offset those complications. It can make them not as bad, not as severe, or maybe you don't have them at all. So management of diabetes is so crucial, I cannot overstate it. And the other reason why I bring this up is because that sometimes diabetes is diagnosed by an eye doctor. One of the first symptoms people might notice is something with their vision. So they go to the eye doctor and the eye doctor says, how long have you been diabetic? And the person says, I didn't know I was, am I? So that is not knowing. That's why these things are called silent killers, like high blood pressure, because you cannot necessarily feel it or not really think that there's much wrong. And then because you've been diabetic and because it's been unmanaged, it's now affecting your vision. So that's why it's so very important to keep up with all of your needed preventative visits, whether it's your eye doctor or your regular physician. You need to be going in and having regular blood work, regular eye exams, because they can catch things early. An ounce of prevention truly is worth a pound of cure. If you go in and you catch something early, you very often have increased treatment options that are available to you. You have increased success rates of those treatment options, but the longer it goes and the farther down the line we get, the more those viable options shrink away. So some benefits of living a healthy lifestyle, and there are so many to even put into this entire hour. So I'm just going to hit some highlights here. It truly does decrease your risk of diseases. Dis-ease in the body often occurs or is made worse when the body is stressed, nutritionally imbalanced, and or neglected of self-care. So if you think self-care is selfish, that's another untruth that you're telling yourself. If you don't make time for your wellness, you may be forced to take time for illness. Let that sink in for a moment. So you can choose to eat healthier. You can choose when and what type of exercise you engage in. You cannot choose when you are ill, to the extent that you are ill, unless you are taking care of yourself. So if you don't take care of yourself all along the way, you may be forced to address that illness, and it's not going to be as much of a choice as what we're talking about preventatively. So I really, really encourage the proactivity of a healthy lifestyle. It gives you more energy, and this sounds counterintuitive. People think, well, I just don't have the energy to work out. It's physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It applies to exercise. When you exercise, you get your blood pumping through your body. You get your breathing rate elevated. You're taking in more oxygen. The blood that's circulating is more oxygenated. In a sense, it's better blood. So you are moving better, healthier blood all throughout your system, which is affecting all of the cells of your system, which gives you back the energy. And I remember, just to give you a little history about myself, both my father and my sister, type 1 diabetic. So in our house, my mom wasn't about to cook differently for half of the family. So we all basically followed a diabetic diet. We ate very well. My dad jogged. He was in the military, so he was in charge of people, and he wanted to be the good example. So when they had their physical fitness tests, he was out there doing the physical fitness tests with them. So he set a great example for me with regard to activity. So that is how I grew up. So as most people do, they get out on their own and they kind of maybe fall off some of those habits that they had demonstrated by their family in their home. So I didn't exercise as much. I started school, I was starting careers and things like that. And so my activity and exercise routine kind of went off the rails a little bit. And I was in my mid-20s, and in the afternoons, I was tired. Like I remember several days at work thinking, gosh, I'm just so tired. I want to take a nap, and I'm 20. Like this shouldn't be happening. What is the problem? And slowly it just kind of started to creep back to me. I'm not eating as well as I did. I'm not focusing on that. I'm not taking as much time consistently for exercise. Sure, here and there, I was still fit and did some fun activities, but it wasn't a focus daily, weekly. And so I thought, I really probably need to get back to that. So I started focusing on those things again, getting back into that exercise habit. And I am now 49. It is rare, and it pretty much never happens that I can't make it through a day and I feel like I need a nap. I always have energy because I expend that energy. I do eat good food. I fuel myself most of the time with healthy things, and that equates to that energy. Another benefit of exercise and eating well is increased happiness and decreased depression. So it's funny because someone put a comment when we were talking about dieting, sadness, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because when you eat well and you set goals and you achieve them, you get an increased feeling of self-worth, self-efficacy, confidence, and that increases your happiness. And you realize when you reach these goals, when you achieve these things and you feel good, you want to do that more. So that motivation really a lot helps drive itself once you just get started. Any questions so far? All right.
I have to ask. a question.
Yes.
How many of the people that are on are diabetic?
And you don't have to share if you choose not to disclose medical
I'm just
information.
curious.
But if
I'm
we
just
want to
curious,
maybe
I'm not-
word it, if we maybe want to word it a different way, we could say who on the call may be concerned about their overall wellness, concerned about prediabetes, or just concerned because they have a family history.
Not me.
Not me.
Well, I'm concerned about my overall health and wellness. So I will share that
Well,
for sure. Right?
Yeah, well, I'm concerned about all those things, and I do follow, a regimen myself, but
Very good.
I'm not diabetic. Yes.
And that's a great way to not end up diabetic, because it is not necessarily just, especially type 2, it's not just genetic. It's a lot of nature, not just, or sorry, nurture. It's not just the nature of the genetics. Type 2 diabetes can come about with no family history if we've got that metabolic syndrome, if we are sedentary, overweight, a smoker, things of that nature, that can just bring it on as well. Just general poor lifestyle habits.
Shirley,
Yes.
it can also come along even if you eat properly. Is that correct? And just not getting enough exercise?
Being sedentary is definitely a risk factor. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And it's also on the handout if you want more information about that. But now we're going to talk more specifically about those 3 topics: maintaining or reaching a healthy weight, getting the appropriate amount of activity, about 150 minutes of moderate activity a week, which is about 20 minutes per day, and then creating and maintaining those positive health habits. So if you want to just boil it down to those 3 things to focus on: healthy eating, being active, and healthy coping. So your nutrition, your activity, and your motivation. And again, you can be educated on what to eat, what is healthy, how to exercise. It's that healthy coping motivation piece that's going to actually put those puzzle pieces and hold them together in place by keeping those good, healthy habits. So first of all, we're going to talk about healthy eating. So does anybody know the difference between a portion and a serving size?
A palm size?
A portion or a serving size. Do you know the difference?
I do not.
So a portion is what you eat. So if you have a whole box of pizza in front of you and you eat that entire pizza, that's the portion that you ate. If you pour yourself a bowl of cereal, you eat the entire bowl, that's the portion that you ate. The serving is what is on the nutrition label as the recommended amount. So it could be 2 slices of pizza. It could be 1 cup of cereal. So here is one easy trick that you can do if you are concerned about your health and wellness and the amount of calories that you're consuming. So if you eat cereal, let's just say, and you go out of habit just into your cabinet, grab a bowl, pour the cereal, pour the milk, you eat cereal. You don't really think about it. Now, I encourage you to actually one day get out that box of cereal, and whether you need to use a magnifier, whether you need to take a picture of it and use the voiceover technology on your phone, or if you need to ask a loved one to say, hey, could you please tell me what the serving size says on this box? Do that. And I'm not suggesting that you measure everything all the time, but just one time, because what I want you to do, let's say that the container of cereal says 1 cup. I want you to measure it one time and then pour it into the bowl that you usually use and take a mental note. Does that bowl look half full with the 1 cup serving, or does it look full? Because a lot of times what we do is we will pour that bowl full of cereal and we're pouring out 2 cups and we're having double the serving. So not only are we ingesting too many calories, but we're also now pouring on too much milk, more calories and sugars, even though they're natural sugars, but also we're going through that food twice as fast. So that affects our budget. So another thing that people tell themselves is eating healthy is expensive. And that is a fallacy. There are ways to eat healthy that are not expensive. If you're not able to purchase fresh produce, whether it's cost, whether it's that you don't go through it before it goes bad, frozen is a very healthy and reasonable option. So again, these things that we tell ourselves, we need to start challenging. Is this in fact true? And is there not a way around it? What can I do? So weigh out or measure out that cereal or whatever it is that you eat frequently, because a lot of us have habits, right? Most mornings we have this for breakfast. And so maybe take a week. And if there are 2 breakfasts that you have most frequently, take a look at what's in those, the ingredients, the serving sizes. And if all you do is adjust that, then you're well on your way to making some good changes. We want to focus on foods that are lower in calories, fats, and sugars. And we want to focus on foods that are high in fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, and proteins. So if we just want to boil it down to something simple to remember, shop the perimeter of the store and eat the rainbow. Shopping the perimeter of the store means that you're going to be buying more things that have fewer ingredients in them or are less processed. So those boxed items that are all handy dandy and in the middle of the store, very often they're going to be less healthy. And if you are going to want the convenience factor, you're going to need to do some label reading to figure out what you want to buy. Now, that can be a challenge for the visually impaired, but I would encourage you, there are options. You can bring your magnifier. You can bring a loved one. And that doesn't mean you have to do it every single time. Walmart, H-E-B, and Target are very good about providing someone to shop with you. Again, not every time, because once you know the new different products that you want to buy, then you just go buy that thing. So there is a little bit of work up front, but you've heard the phrase pay me now or pay me later. It's that same sentence I read to you before. If you don't make time for your wellness, you may be forced to take time for your illness. So yes, it might take a little worth up front, but the dividends it will pay long-term are very much worth it. So think about it in terms of money. What type of investment is this? Is this a positive, healthy investment, or is it taking things away? Is it taking away my health in the long term? Is it taking away my ability to enjoy things and be able to engage in things long term? So try to think about it that way. It works that way with calories too. One thing that people do in that all or nothing mind frame is, for example, something comes up, you go to your office and someone bought donuts, or you go to someone's house and someone in the group has had a birthday. And so someone brings a cake and you have a piece of cake. And a lot of times people will then let that start a downward spiral. Well, I was trying to eat healthy, but I ate the cake, so I might as well just go home and have the pizza and nothing, it's just all out the window, right? So it's very easy to start that downward spiral. It's just as easy to start an upward spiral. So something comes along in life, right? Like that piece of cake. All right, I can eat a smaller piece of cake. I don't have to have a 4-inch square serving, right? I can eat just a little piece of cake and celebrate with everybody else. And then I can offset that by maybe eating a little bit less and making sure I have a healthy dinner, making sure I get a little bit more activity in the rest of the day so that I can help to burn off some of those extra calories. Because what you would not do with money is if some bill came up that was $100 that you weren't expecting, you wouldn't then just go, well, some people do as a form of unhealthy coping, go to retail therapy and go spend a bunch more, right? That is an unhealthy coping strategy that people use with money, but it's the same thing. If you eat 100 calories extra of cake, that's not a big deal. That's a minor speed bump, easily fixable. But if you follow it up by eating the pizza and sitting around, that's just like spending, oh, now I'm going to throw away another $100, $200, $300. You don't chase, your decisions that way. So I encourage you to think of calories like money, and we want to bank them and spend them in a reasonable way. So shopping the perimeter is going to help do that, because when you have those healthier items with less ingredients, that generally equates automatically to fewer fats, calories, and sugars that are added. So for example, if you enjoy eating yogurt and you go to the dairy and you buy yogurt with fruit in it, 9 times out of 10, it's going to have added sugars. But if instead you buy some healthy non-fat yogurt or Greek yogurt, which has more protein, and then you have some frozen fruits that you enjoy, you mix your own, there are no added sugars, and you can control that portion size much more easily, because instead of having that whole container, that might be a serving and a half or 2 servings if you don't look, but you just think, well, a container is 1 serving, which is not accurate, then that is an easy way that you can control the ingredients, you can control the portions, and those small changes You're still eating the yogurt and fruit that you enjoy. You're just doing it in a better way. And then eating the rainbow. Has anybody heard that term, eating the rainbow? Anyone know what it means?
No.
It means getting lots of different colors on your plate. So you want your plate to be colorful. And the reason for that is because the different colors have different vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and polyphenols and all of these things that are very, very healthy for our body. So if you are looking at a plate that is mostly the same kind of bland color, that is just telegraphing to you that that does not have the most nutrition possible. So just like in nature, male birds tend to be very colorful and showy, right? The same thing with fruits and vegetables. The more colorful and showy they are, it's just screaming to you, I've got all kinds of good stuff in here, right? So we want to eat lots of good, colorful food. So we want to think about when we make a plate, we want to have about a quarter a healthy protein. So, you know, chicken, ground beef, cottage cheese, something like that. And then a quarter of a healthy grain or starchy vegetable. And then we want to have half fresh fruits and vegetables. So you might have a quarter of a salad and a quarter some steamed vegetable mix. So that is the way you want your plate to look, not, you know, a bunch of potatoes and meat, right? We want to make sure we're getting lots and lots of fruits and vegetables in there because they have all the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. They have a lot of fiber and water. And the water content of fruits and vegetables help you stay fuller longer. So that's a benefit to those. So now we're going to talk about being active. Who remembers how many minutes per day or per week I've been saying is the recommendation?
20 minutes.
20 minutes per day, right. So again, this is one of those things that we tell ourselves that gets in our way. I don't have time. I can't afford to go to a gym. I can't get to a gym. I don't want to go to a gym, right? So we tell ourselves all of these things. So next time you hear one of those types of sentences in your mind, say, okay, it might be 100% true that you do not have a gym membership in your budget, but what can you do? It's always that second question, right? With everything, it's always that follow-up question that gets you more to the heart of the matter. So, you know, I don't like going to the gym. You don't have to. You can be in your home using your own body weight. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to buy anything. So the next time that you tell yourself an excuse like that, challenge yourself and say, okay, what can I do? Because I work with people who are in wheelchairs. I work with amputees. I work with people that have multiple health concerns. And they say, well, I can't go walk. That's great. You don't need to. All you need to do is move your body and lift things when you can, of varying weight. So think of the word fit, frequency, intensity, and time. You need to do activity frequently. Increasing the intensity is going to increase that level, whether it's moderate or not. And I mean as basic as if you're sweeping your house and you're doing it really leisurely, or if you're getting after it, you're pushing that mop around and you're doing it very quickly, that's increasing the intensity of an activity. And if you're standing up and twisting your upper body, moving that mop around, and you're doing it at a moderate pace, absolutely, you can count that towards your minutes of activity. So again, we need to get out of our own way and stop listening to the excuses that we create and ask these follow-up questions. What can I do? What do I have? So increase, and T, sorry, I forgot the T on fit is time. Work up. Just because it's 20 minutes a day, if you currently have no exercise routine in place, if you say, okay, I got to get 20 minutes in, and you try to do 20 minutes and you fail because you are not worked up to that level yet, now you're going to feel those negative things and start that negative spiral. I'm just not a healthy person. I can't do this. And that's where a lot of people just fail and stop. What we want to do if you don't have a routine in place is start small. Can you walk out to your mailbox and back? If not, can you sit on the couch and lift your arms over your head, out to the side and in front of you 10 times each? I bet you can. Can you do that twice? Can you do it twice a day? Can you build from there? You absolutely can. I had a gentleman in one of my classes who we were talking about this, and he said, gosh, I can barely make it to my mailbox, but I'm going to try, and I'm going to start trying to do it twice a day. By the end of the 6 weeks course, he was up to almost 12 minutes of walking straight. So he was going like around the block a couple times with his dog twice a day. He felt so accomplished, so motivated. He said, I feel back in control. So exercising is going to fuel your confidence. It's going to fuel your motivation. So take it slow and reach the goals that you set, because that's going to then make you know that you can reach a goal, make you want to reach another goal. So when we set goals, we want to use something called the readiness ruler. And the readiness ruler is a scale from 1 to 10. And to set a goal, what you want to do is ask yourself how confident you feel you can meet that goal. So the example I like to give, it's just a quick and easy example. It may not necessarily apply to everyone, but you can use it with whatever fill in the blank that you want to. So in this case, I'm going to use soda. So let's say I'm working with somebody and they say, I drink 5 sodas a day. And I say, okay, we need to limit the sodas, right? We need to cut back on that a bit. Not saying you can never have soda again, not saying that we're going to be overly restrictive, right? But we just need to start cutting back on that soda. So tomorrow, if I said to them, tomorrow, how about you only drink 1 soda a day? Can you do that? And they would probably be like, geez, from 5 to 1? No, I'd like 2 or 3, doubtful. Then that's not a good goal. And that's okay. All that is a piece of information. What we want to do is just keep asking ourselves until we can get to that 7 or 8 of confidence level. So I would then ask this person, all right, that's too much. Too big of a step, right? We don't want to be taking giant leaps. We're going for small baby steps. So we're going to swing to the other end of the spectrum. And I'm going to say, okay, can you just have 4.5 sodas tomorrow? Oh, piece of cake, 10, got it. All right, that's too easy. We don't want to be at the 9s and 10s either, because that's not a challenge. That's taking too small of a step. That's going to take too long over time. So we're closer though, because we want to be 7 or 8. So, all right, can you drink 4 sodas tomorrow instead of 5? All right, yeah, I'm about 7.5 there. I can probably do that. That's how you set a goal. That's how you set a realistic goal that you can achieve, that then when you do it, you'll feel good about yourself. And then do that for a week. Maybe do it every other day for a week. And then let the habit build from there. 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months from now, you're going to be shocked at the things that you can accomplish when you just take it slowly and systematically. So back to being active, we want to increase the amount of activity in our day, as well as getting in that moderate activity. So if all you do is get in 20 minutes of activity and you sit for the remaining 12 or 14 hours that you're awake, we also need to address that sedentary time as well. So just try to be more active throughout your day. And one way that you can do that is thinking about being inefficient. How does one be inefficient? Well, normally we're very hardwired to be efficient. So you might think to yourself, all right, I need to take out the trash and go put something up in the garage and go out to the mailbox. So we do that all in one straight line, all at one time. Instead, be inefficient and do those 3 things at 3 different times. So now you're getting up to do one thing, going to a different room, going back to what you were doing. A little bit later, you get up again, do the other chore, go back to what you were doing. Do you see what I'm getting at here? We just make that sedentary time more active time. Now you may be asking yourself, geez, 20 minutes, how do I even do that? Here's one quick and easy way to get you almost to 15 without making much of a change. If you watch an hour's worth of TV at any point throughout the day, there's about 15 minutes worth of commercials. If the only change that you make in life regarding your activity is making commercials equal active time, then you've already got 12 to 15 minutes of activity in your day. So when people say, I don't have time to go to the gym, I don't have the money, I stop them right there and I say, that's great. We don't all have lots of things. What do you have? What can you do? Okay, well, I could take a empty laundry detergent container and fill it with water or sand or dirt or rocks and have a heavy thing to lift, and I can lift it repeatedly. Perfect. You are exercising, right? All it takes is a little creativity and desire, and you can be active anywhere, anytime with your own body weight, with other heavy things that you have around your home. So it's just a matter of making the time and creating a new routine. And however you need to remind yourself, if you're not able to see a note that you write, set a timer, set an alarm of some sort, enlist a family member. Hey, let me know when it's 5 o'clock, because I know that I'm gonna make that my new exercise time, whatever works for you, and then make it fun. Maybe you don't really enjoy sitting there doing those arm movements, but if you can do it while you're watching a TV show you enjoy, or while you're listening to a podcast or some music that you enjoy, you're pairing that with something enjoyable, and that is going to make the activity itself more enjoyable by association. So you'll start looking forward to the times that you can sit and do your activities. Not only that, but when you get that good oxygenated blood going throughout your system, it makes you feel better. You've heard people talk about exercise and endorphins. It is a thing. It does affect your mood. And when you feel that, when you start to experience that you feel better from doing this, you're going to want to keep doing that thing that makes you feel good. So in a sense, it will sustain itself. So now we're going to talk about that last piece of the puzzle, the healthy coping, which is the motivation and the good habits. And so lots of different puzzle pieces to put together here. So managing stress, prioritizing sleep, managing thoughts and triggers, thinking positively, and problem solving are all ways, tools that we can use, whether it's how to eat healthier more frequently, how to be active more of the time. All of those little puzzle pieces, if we don't have those in place, it's not going to hold the whole puzzle together and make the whole picture. So prioritizing sleep. Why on earth does sleep matter? What does sleep have to do with being healthy and active? Well, how do you feel when you wake up and you're all groggy because you didn't sleep well?
Terrible.
Right? Exactly. You feel sluggish, you feel slow, you feel grumpy. Is that a place to make a good decision from?
No,
Is that going to make you want to pop up and go do some exercise?
no,
Is that going to make you want to choose the mac and cheese or a salad? Because you have to prepare the salad, and the mac and cheese, you just got to throw in the microwave. That's why the puzzle pieces all fit together, because if we're not sleeping well, we're not making good decisions for our health and wellness throughout the day. So sleep hygiene is very, very important. If you're not familiar with that topic and you want more information, again, Diana and Lisa have my information. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to go through it in more detail with you. And also we'll talk about our virtual classes. We do classes on all of these sessions as well. So managing thoughts, we've already talked a lot about the thoughts, the things that we tell ourselves, and are they true? And how do I reword it to focus on the positive? So managing thoughts is very important, because again, if you just tell yourself, oh, it's too expensive to eat healthy, and that's where it ends for you, and so you don't ever try, you need to manage that thought. You need to say, you know what, it is healthy. I mean, it is a bit expensive. If I were to go totally organic, yes, that's a bit more money. But there's a happy medium. I don't need to go totally organic. I can purchase some organic things when they're on sale. I can purchase frozen items, because for me, perishable items, I don't get through them quickly enough, and that wastes money for me. So there are ways to focus on what you can do. Triggers. Does anybody know what a trigger is? Some examples.
Trouble. It's trouble.
What's that?
It's trouble.
It's trouble. You're right. It can be trouble for sure, or it can be a positive one, right? We can have a healthy trigger.
Right.
So for me, what's that?
It can show you how to avoid it when it comes up or something like that. Like, okay, this trigger's coming on. Let me see.
Exactly. When we know our triggers and we have healthy coping strategies in place, we can manage that. So here are some examples. For me, a healthy trigger, I get up in the morning and I put on my tennis shoes, because my tennis shoes are just a mental and physical cue to me that it's time to work out. So that's a positive trigger. And I reward myself for working out throughout the week by putting my slippers on the weekends. And that's just a mental trigger to me that, okay, it's time to relax. So that can be a healthy trigger. An unhealthy trigger can be walking through the bakery and smelling it and seeing it, and now you buy things that you shouldn't. So if that's a trigger for you and you don't need to go through the bakery aisle, don't go through the bakery aisle. That's your healthy coping skill. If you are someone who can just enjoy the smell and enjoy the really pretty creative creations that they make in that bakery case, and you can enjoy that side of it and not actually eat it all the time, then that's great. That's a healthy coping mechanism for you. You can go and enjoy those other things about it without actually eating it. So that's a way to add in a healthy coping strategy. Another healthy coping strategy might be to change the trigger of being sedentary, that tends to be TV watching, into now my commercial time is going to be my time to be active. So it's built in. As long as you have in your mind now that I'm going to be active during commercials, that commercial is going to come on. You don't have to do anything about that. It will happen. All you have to do is go, oh, active time, whether it's arm raises that you're doing seated, whether you're going to pick up something that's heavy right by the couch and move it around, or whether you're going to get up and stand and march in place. Just get active during that commercial time. Or conversely, you may choose to do a longer workout that's 20 or 30 minutes and do it through the program and just enjoy listening and watching the program as you're getting in your activity. So let those triggers turn into positive triggers. Remember, we talked about things can snowball in a negative way, negative thought after negative thought. It can snowball in a positive way as well. So let's try to lean more toward that positive direction. And finally, thinking positively and problem solving is a way to handle lots of different problems. And it's a way to manage stress too. So this is kind of a twofer. So for example, if you have some sort of financial issue come up, that causes you stress. And the longer you mask it by stress eating or avoiding it or something like that, it prolongs the amount of time that that stressor is there and that you're experiencing that stress. And it also doesn't do anything to help you solve it. So if you just first stop, think positively, and it may not be about that situation. You know, sometimes you might get hit with a huge AC bill and you can find literally nothing positive to think of about that. That's okay. Just think positively about something and get yourself in a good headspace. So think about today. I am super thankful for this amazing, cool weather. I am thankful for the fact that I can go outside and it's bright and sunny and I can hear the birds chirping and I can smell the grass. So just get yourself in a positive place and then problem solve. Identify what exactly the problem is. And then ask that second question. Is this really the problem? Do I need to clarify what the problem might be? Is there someone else involved? And maybe it's a perception problem and we just need to talk something out because I'm just thinking that there's a problem when there really isn't one. So first of all, really solidly identify the problem. Then think of a bunch of solutions, at least 4 or 5 different ways that you could go about it. It may not be all ways that you would go about it, but just that act of brainstorming, often what we do is a combination of things. So if you have 4 or 5 different ideas written down, it might lead you to go, oh, here's another one. And that's the good one. So think of all those different steps, then choose. Is it going to be a combination of things? Is it going to be this one solution? Choose it, act on it, and put it in place. And then that way your problem is resolved. Thereby your stress is resolved. Now you can make better decisions because you're in that better headspace. So see how this all fits together? They all affect each other. They all affect each other. So some bonus tips here. Remember that readiness ruler. Remember how to set a good goal. On a scale of 1 to 10, you want to keep asking yourself the question and keep reframing the question until you can answer with a 7 to 8 level of confidence that you can reach that goal. You want to prioritize. Remember 80-20. 80% of the time, we want to be focusing on making healthy choices, making sure we get in our activity. When you schedule a doctor's appointment and you don't show up, what happens typically?
Mess up the schedule.
You mess up their schedule, but now what have a lot of doctors started hitting you with?
Appointment.
A fee if you don't show up, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So now we've compounded our problem because we have a financial issue on top of not prioritizing our health, getting to the doctor, not to mention we've messed up their day. So just like you wouldn't skip out on a doctor's appointment for all of those reasons, why would you skip out on yourself on a workout or on your exercise time? You're only hurting yourself ultimately. So prioritize those things. Your future self, I guarantee you, will reap the benefits of those dividends that you're putting in now, and your future self is going to thank you for making that a priority. You're going to be healthier and feel better long term. And then track your progress. If you don't know where you are, what you're doing, how are you going to get anywhere? It's like someone saying, okay, here's where you are, here's where you need to go, and you have no idea where you are and no map, and no one will tell you anything. How are you going to get there? Tracking is your roadmap to a goal. So if you know that right now you're not doing, maybe 2-3 minutes of exercise a day when you clean your house, and you want to get to that 20 minutes a day, you need to track your progress. You need to set some goals, and you need to prioritize those things in order to get to that goal. Put each little puzzle piece in place, and there comes the picture being held together. Make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Hello?
Yes.
This is Bertha Galan. I have a question. Where can we order some of your handouts?
So the people that gave you the information for the meeting today have all the copies of the handouts, so they can send them to you.
Thank you. That very inspiring information that you gave us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I just want to, before we take a few more questions and wrap up, I just want to go over just kind of a little review and then share with you all of the topics if you're going to be on the 6 weeks course. So remember, it basically boils down to healthy eating, being active, and healthy coping. So when we talk about healthy eating, we talk about eating well, foods to eat, and that is one of the handouts. Tracking food, we go into a little bit more depth and detail about tracking food and serving sizes and reading nutrition labels. We talk about carbs, specifically all the different types of carbs and the ones that we want to focus on. We talk about shopping, cooking, and eating well, both in your home and away from home. Even if it's just being away for the day running errands, you still need healthy snacks. You still need healthy lunch options if you're going to be away from your home all day. So we talk about lots of ideas for that. And then having healthy foods you enjoy. So again, we want to focus on the positive, focus on what we can have. When we talk about being active, we talk about ways to get active. So again, whatever your situation is, we're going to talk about your specific situation and how to build up, whether that's adding to an existing routine or that's just building one from scratch. We want to track that activity because again, if you don't have that roadmap to get to a goal, how are you going to get there? We want to talk about the tricks for burning more calories, fitting in time for fitness, staying active, and staying active away from home as well. And then with regard to healthy coping, managing stress, coping with triggers, taking charge of your thoughts, getting support, very important. What to do when weight loss stalls, because plateauing is something that most people experience and will experience it off and on. So what to do about that? Getting enough sleep. Again, we talked about why that matters, why that ties into your ability to make good decisions throughout the day. Getting back on track, because life is going to happen. We all get off track. It's a given. So if you think I'm never going to get off track, first of all, that's inaccurate. What we need to do is know how to get back on because it will happen. Staying motivated, keeping your heart healthy, and then a little bit more about diabetes specifically. So those are all the things that we discuss. And again, the ladies have the schedule, the virtual schedule. If you want to join one of our 6 weeks courses, the way we do them is they're a rolling class. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to tell somebody who is new to us, for example, today, if our 6 weeks class was on week 3 or 4, I would have to tell you, well, you have to wait 3 or 4 weeks. Well, what happens to your motivation? What happens if you forget, right? So that's why it's a rolling class. It's not information that necessarily builds on itself. As long as you get all of the information, it doesn't matter what order it comes in. So you can join in the very next class, the very next week, and you can just keep going 6 times. So our virtual schedule, we have our English classes Wednesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. and Fridays at 2 p.m. Our Spanish virtual classes are Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. And we periodically switch those up. So for example, sometimes people are on dialysis Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so if Tuesday or Thursday in the morning doesn't work, then they don't have a good time. So we might switch the Tuesdays and Thursdays to the afternoon for a few sets of 6 weeks. So we'll keep you updated as our class schedule changes. But also we are starting a health and wellness club. We're super excited to announce on November the 3rd, we are going to have a combination of in-person and virtual health and wellness club. And you are all most welcome to join. There are no qualifications. You don't even necessarily need to have a visual impairment. All you need is to either be concerned about your health and wellness, be pre-diabetic or diabetic. Those are the only qualifications, so that pretty much includes everyone. So it will be in English at 10 a.m. on November the 3rd, in person at the Lighthouse Senior Center, and virtually. So we're going to have a hybrid model. So you can call in or Zoom in, whichever is more convenient for you. And the Spanish version of that meeting is going to be the same day, November 3rd at noon. Same thing at the Lighthouse or virtually or by phone.